Which doll is the pretty doll? Which doll is the nice doll? Which doll is the bad doll? Which doll is the nice doll? And which doll is the bad doll? And why is that doll pretty?
Because she's white and he has 2 eyes.
Which doll is the ugly doll? Why is that doll ugly?
Because he's black.
Can you show me the child that has your skin color?
Thank
you. Okay. Show me the child that has the skin color you want.
I want that one.
Okay. Show me the child who has the skin color you don't want. Show me the child you would like as a classmate.
All of them.
You like all of them as classmates? Why do you say all of them?
Because I don't really care what color they have.
They always make the light-skinned face.
Dark-skinned girls are not as cute.
It's like light-skinned girls are supposed to be prettier.
Dark-skinned girls look dirty or dingier than light-skinned people.
Light-skinned boys are soft.
You light-skinned, you think you top, you not. Yeah.
Dark-skinned boys are like tough thugs.
Light-skinned females are really dangerous.
Colorism is the privileging of one skin tone over another, usually in positions of power where distribution of power or resources are concerned.
When we talk about colorism in the social sciences, particularly in sociology and anthropology, what we're talking about is the discrimination or the prejudices that are experienced by individuals based on their skin color. So colorism tends to occur within a particular quote-unquote racial group, and so each racial group may have its own experience of colorism within it.
Depending on the amount of melanin in one's skin or the lack of melanin in one's skin, distributions of power or favor is given or acknowledged.
I'm black. No, I'm chocolatey.
First I thought I was dark-skinned, but then coming out here everyone says I'm brown-skinned, but I think they're the same thing, dark-skinned and brown-skinned.
He's dark-skinned. I am fair-skinned, light-skinned.
I'm a dark-skinned girl.
Smack him and watch him turn red.
That's true.
I mean, I didn't start really noticing that I was dark-skinned until elementary school. It was like around 5th grade. And some girl came up to me and was like, she was like, yeah, your skin color matches your hair and all type of stuff. Like, it was really bad. Like, in elementary school, I used to get picked on a lot for being dark-skinned. I hated my skin tone because I have sisters. I have 2 sisters on the left side and 2 on my dad's side. All of them were light-skinned. All of them were short and light-skinned and really pretty. And I was tall and dark-skinned and just, I hated it. Like, everybody would refer to me as the dark-skinned baby or the dark sister. I just hated my skin complexion growing up. Like, I did not think I was pretty at all.
In any given black family, you could have an array of skin tones, and within that family, you could find, the fair-headed, if you would, child, right? The child who's believed to be almost like the spokesperson for the family. If you have a lighter skinned child, that person might be representative for that family in some regard, or the one with higher expectation than the child who's darker skinned. We've seen this played out in many circumstances. The family is like the very first line of that. You can talk to any person, particularly in South Carolina, when you have people who come from different places, and they'll talk about being taunted and teased in school for either being too light and not identifying as black, or being too black too dark in any regard. So that very, very heavily forged atmosphere where bullying and peer pressure comes along with all of that. And then again, in relationships, it's very difficult for women of particular phenotype to hear black men of their same or darker phenotype actually saying that they prefer lighter skinned or even white women.
I did not like my complexion, especially when I did come to South Carolina, when I come visit my family. It was like kids were really mean to me because of my skin complexion, and I really used to like think like, wow, when I'm at home it doesn't happen like this. I'm getting probably picked on with something else like a regular kid. But yeah, at first I did not like my complexion.
My dad everybody else is lighter than me. My mom is like the closest to my complexion, but I'm the darkest out of everybody. And people used to ask me like, are you adopted or something? Like, why are your brothers lighter than you? Like, you kind of look like your mom, but not really. Why are you the darkest person out of everybody? I went and asked my mom, was I adopted or whatever. And she was like, why you asked me that and all that kind of stuff. I mean, she didn't get mad. I mean, she started crying or whatever. It was very emotional. When I started like getting in a lot of trouble because I started hanging with these group of girls. Like, I mean, we all were the same color or whatever, and I guess they took me under their wing kinda, and like I used to get in a lot of trouble about stuff like that because he used to tease us. So I mean, yeah.
We're always going to be influenced by our social environment. That's the nature of socialization. We only know what we know because of the people around us or the things that surround us. So certainly, if you grow up in an environment where light skin is privileged, you're going to want that for yourself. If you grow up in an environment where dark skin is privileged, you're going to want that for yourself. If you grow up in an environment where there's a sense of equality, that's what you're going to want. So it is always going to go back to how we're socialized, the things we surround ourselves with, our family, our peers, the media, just all those social institutions, the educational system. All those social institutions are going to help shape our views about skin color.
I actually had an issue with my little brother. He, for some reason, feels like being light-skinned is like the best thing in the world, and he's fully black. And he was talking to me and his mom, and he was like, I don't want to be Rakeem's complexion, which is my other little big brother. He's dark-skinned. And we were like, what's wrong with being dark-skinned? He was like, I don't know, I just don't want to be dark-skinned. I like being light-skinned. And we just couldn't understand why, and his mom told him to never say it again because it was kind of crazy at 10 years old you thought something like that. You know, so it was kind of like, wow, what are we teaching people? He's talking like he doesn't want to be dark-skinned. That like it was an insult to be dark-skinned or something, or offensive to be dark-skinned, so it was crazy.
I like a long hair, thick, red pound. Up and up, if they fillet mignon, nip. I'm a
light skin and dark skin.
I like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans.
I'd rather have a black girl.
I love a black girl, but I like.
Would you rather have a black girl or a Puerto Rican?
I'm marrying a black girl.
I'm about to say
she might be Puerto Rican. What?
Brown skin girls are always the best. Chocolate and all.
I was always taught that yellow bone. They something else.
They different. It's like I'm attracted to light skinned females. I don't know why. It's just normal attraction. Yeah. But I can say light skinned females are far more crazy than dark skinned females.
Light skinned girls fit better with my complexion.
Yeah, they cut your tires, out your car.
Burn your clothes.
They don't care about life.
Light-skinned guys, I love light-skinned guys. Why? Because I'm gonna say it, their stereotype when it comes, they need to be put together in pretty boys, okay? Yes.
I don't like it.
Some of these light-skinned, it hurt. Some of them just some of them
okay. But not all of them. But not all of them.
By the time a child can sit up and watch TV and actually start to understand what it is that they're taking in, they've already been bombarded with many images, even in commercials, in lighthearted kids shows, where you may have a Muppet, for instance, that comes in different colors and that sort of thing. Even the Muppets sort of act out in their scheme, in their sort of comic schemes, privilege based on other kinds of phenotype. So it's very much embedded in our society, but the media kind of perpetuates it at the same time.
You see a lot of Victoria's Secret commercials, and you probably only see one dark-skinned girl, and she's probably not even like my dark skin, like, well, my tone or complexion. Like, she's probably a little bit lighter than me, but they have to put that one dark-skinned girl in there. But it's usually, you know, like the white girls or the lighter skin or the mixed girls. You rarely see dark-skinned girls on like anything, but they have to put us in there to make it seem like, you know, they're not being racist or saying that one tone is better than the other. But you rarely see a dark-skinned girl and like in different things that portray beauty, I guess. I remember on My Wife and Kids, when they switched out the dark-skinned girl for the lighter version, for the light-skinned version girl in that show, and I was like, well, I'm confused as to why they did that. I mean, she was no different than the other one. I mean, I believe neither one of them could really act, to be honest, but I mean, they still switched out one for the other.
Very recently, there was this discussion about Viola Davis, about her not being a typical black image. Because she's darker skinned, because she's not petite, because she's not young. And so there are always instances where the media perpetuates these things, and it has to do more than likely with who controls it, rather than a conscious motivation to actually exclude people.
64% of our audience thinks Candace is mixed Hispanic and black. 77% of our audience thinks Adria is biracial, black, and white. 90% of our audience said that Marvell is biracial, black, and white.
I am 100% African American. My mother is black, my father is black, so that makes me black.
Okay. Adria?
100% black and proud.
Okay. Marvell?
I'm 100% African American.
100% African American. Okay.
We have certain things that we tell young children in particular, like, for example, don't play in the sun. Okay? Well, playing in the sun actually has some very significant health benefits. It's a cheap and inexpensive source of vitamin D, which many of us lack. But we have this idea that somehow playing in the sun is going to make us darker. It does, but so does a number of other things.
I'm a lifeguard, so when I did get dark and people are like, oh, your tan looks good, I'm like, no, I don't want to get any darker than I already am.
Yeah, and then I used to play football, and like, of course you're going to be in the sun when you're playing football, of course you're going to get darker. Like, I used to hate that, like, that I got darker.
That sort of subconscious privileging, you know, you may not consciously say that you're privileging, but subconsciously you are privileging. I think we see this in movies about ourselves. You see this in our pursuit of beauty products, perhaps. The whole line of skin bleaching and things like that have become much more pervasive now, where I think it's always been there, but it seems to be a little bit more pervasive and out than it used to be.
I think I've had my fair share of moments of saying certain things about the color of someone's skin, but not to be offensive. It was to be like funny or jokey. It may have been offensive in some type of way to somebody who didn't find it jokey.
We talk about things like, she's really cute to be so dark. And so these are all hints to how we privilege lighter skinned people.